My differentiation journey so far has been a bit of a roller coaster. I started the semester thinking that I was something of a differentiation expert. As a special ed student, I've been learning about inclusive education since day one. We differentiate all the time without even thinking about it. This will be easy, right? Wrong. Weeks passed, and in the lead up to assignment 1, I realised just how wrong and misinformed I had been. Differentiation was not easy, it was impossible. Nobody could possibly factor in for every student difference imaginable, at least not without pulling all their hair out. But I got through it, and I was yet again hopeful. I had differentiated one lesson plan and got a good grade. Surely that makes me the expert again. I put my crown back on, and I took satisfaction in knowing that assignment 2 would be a breeze. But of course it wasn't. The same challenges that I had encountered in the first assignment were starting to pop up again, and I just couldn't understand why. I knew all of the principles of differentiated instruction, and I knew what I needed to do, but for some reason it just wasn't working out. I reluctantly took off my differentiation crown and started from scratch. The only way for me to get my head around everything was to literally map out exactly what I wanted my students to learn, so that I could determine the best possible routes to get them there. My biggest hurdle though was making sure that each group was heading towards the same destination. It was all too easy to send each group of students on their journey and have them end up at similar but different places. Adding to my difficulties was the fact that I was planning for an imaginary class. Meeting the needs of my students proved challenging when I didn't know what their needs would be. For me, this reinforced the importance of the pre-assessment. Not just administering it, but actually looking at the results and reflecting on what the students were struggling with. But in the end, I'm happy to say that my mapping worked. I was finally able to make sure that my students were ending up at the same place, even though they were all taking different directions to get there. And so here I am now, finished with all 3 assignments, 2 weeks away from my first real teaching placement, with a discarded differentiation crown but a new outlook on teaching. I have learnt an exponential amount this semester, but there are 3 things above all else that I'm going to take away with me when I set foot into my future classrooms. 1. Differentiation is possible. That might sound silly, but the fact is just knowing that it's possible is incredibly motivating. Yes, it will be hard, and yes, there will be challenges, but it is possible. If I was able to create one lesson where I catered for student readiness, interest, and learning profile, what is stopping me from doing it again? The answer is nothing. Nothing is stopping me. Sure, there will always be hurdles like the one I faced when completing my assignments, as well as things like time, class size, and resources, as well as a million other things. But if I'm willing to put in the time and the effort to proactively plan and seek help and try new things, then it will still be possible. 2. Be prepared for everything. Don't come to class expecting to wing it. Come to class with a clear idea of what you're going to teach and what resources you will need to do so. Prepare a pre-assessment, prepare lesson and unit plans, prepare resources, prepare learning activities, prepare teaching strategies, supports, and of course your classroom setup. But more than that, prepare to have to scrap all of those plans if they're not working. Prepare a backup and prepare for the unexpected. Prepare as best as you possibly can so that you will be spared the headache later on when you try to figure out why your improvised lesson just didn't work. And finally, number 3, never stop reflecting, or it's okay to make mistakes. Differentiation is a multifaceted philosophy with a number of principles that are all extremely important. But the reality is that what works one day might not work the next, and even if we do our best to engage every child, there might just be one boy who's having a really bad day or one girl who just isn't responding. And that's okay as long as I am reflecting. If I finish work at the end of every day and don't take the time to question what went well and what didn't go so well, and which students were getting it and which students weren't getting it, and more importantly, how can I rectify that in tomorrow's lesson, then all of the other work that I put in, all of the supports, the tiering, the planning, all of it's going to be for nothing. So that has been my journey so far. I look forward to keep learning and improving in the future.